Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters. How you guys doing? Alhamdulillah. So my buddy who was going to respond to this video with me is currently MIA. Totally fine, no problem. It's okay. Well, it's not MIA, he's just busy. I think that's a bit it's not exactly accurate. He's just busy, couldn't be here at the moment. No problem. I'm going to go ahead and find this video that I was going to respond to. Actually, you know what? Let me share this link. Hold up a sec. Let me share this YouTube link with some people I know. Ay. There we go. All right. Yeah. Now I just have to share it with, there we go. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Anyone who's tuning in, we're going to be responding to a video momentarily. Just a moment. Alaikum salam, Psychor. Again. Alhamdulillah. Let's see here. Video should be right. Hold up a sec. Here we go. Perfect. Let's not play it as of yet. We're going to be sharing this in just a second. Doom. You know what? I'm going to call this guy one more time just to be sure he can't come on. If he can't come on, it's totally fine, but I feel like I should call him one more time out of courtesy. You couldn't hear me? Yeah. Okay. I'm calling my buddy right now. Just see if he can come on. If he can't come on, it's totally fine because we'll just go ahead and respond to the video anyway. Let me share the screen. Here we go. There it is right there. We shall begin momentarily. Just going to see if this guy wants to come, if he's able to come on right now. If he's not, totally fine. We'll just go ahead and respond to the video anyway. It doesn't look like he's gonna be picking up the phone right now. Make this full screen. Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me in the live chat. Let me make this full screen. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, not coming online. All right, no problem. We're gonna go ahead and respond to the react to this video right here, right now. So just to be clear, guys, I have not seen this video yet. I have not watched this video from start to finish. I watched the first 3 seconds. I think that's just about it. This video is called How to Convert Muslims with Charbel Raish. I think I may have butchered that name. Yeah, a bit knackered. That's not a term we use in the States, that's for sure, because I've never heard that term before. Excuse me. All right, now let's get rolling. Bismillah.
So he's been a good friend. He came to my wedding. I even launched the book. I got a handful of good Muslim friends, and because we were so good mates in high school, we still hang out. I didn't invite him to the book launch, and he called me up and he said, "Why didn't you invite me?" I said, "I didn't think you would appreciate the title, How Islam Led Me Back to Christ." And he said, "Look, I know you as a person. We're mates, and it goes beyond that." So
good for
I
him.
really admired at least there was a mutual respect there. And when people, I give talks now a lot about this, and they'll ask, the first question that typically happens is, so how do you respond to the Muslim thing? Aren't Muslims like terrorists, or Muslims are violent, and like, how do you reconcile all that? And here's the distinction. And we do this today, and there's probably a good discussion maybe in the second half, but I love Muslims. God loves Muslims. They are children of God. But when we talk about Islam, now we're talking about ideology. What we have to do is separate the ideology from the person. Stop putting on Muslims this ideology. They are children of God searching for salvation.
Okay, so right off the bat, this is quite interesting. So, I mean, we do often say that when people want to associate Muslims with terrorism, Islam with terrorism, we say, yeah, separate Muslims from Islam. But it sounds like, and I could be wrong, but it sounds as if he's saying, you know what? Like, he's not denying those accusations against Islam. Yeah, he's saying Islam is, the people say, oh, Muslims are violent, or Islam is terrorism, Islam is this, Islam is that. And basically it seems like, I could be wrong, but it seems like he's going, well, he's not denying that. I'm not denying that Islam is bad like that, but Muslims are good people, but Islam is bad. Right now, just to be clear, obviously he's not going to be approving of Islam. Obviously, he's not going to say Islam is amazing. He's not going to do that. But I mean, it's one thing to say Islam isn't great, or Islam isn't good for humanity, and then to say Islam teaches terrorism. Right? And to be clear, it doesn't seem like he's saying that, but it sounds like he's not really denying it either. He's just kind of like, no. Muslims are good people. Muslims are children of God. Muslims are children of God. Islam is what we have the issue with. Which, in a way, I mean, I do understand, which I, in a way, kind of appreciate. Okay, I mean, you don't have an issue with the actions of Muslims. It's not the actions of Muslims you're judging Islam of. You're judging Islam for what it is. But then the problem is, I mean, we all know that, I mean, somehow I don't think his analysis of Islam is going to be very accurate. Allahu Alam. We'll have to wait and see.
Like us. So that we've got to give them a chance, invite them to salvation. But what we should do is mutually respect each other's freedom, but look at the idea of Islam as an ideology in search for the truth, because we both want the truth. And that's where we can get somewhere, one-on-one, not in a group. I don't recommend a group setting. It has to be one-on-one, because there's an element of, hurt, shame, and you're stepping out of the boundaries here. You're asking questions outside of the Quran, and it's a tough gig. You don't ask those questions; they're forbidden. And when you start doing that, it's a bit, you're in dangerous territory. So that's why respectfully do it. And I would say praise the good in Islam, where in the sense that they pray, praise be to God. They fast, praise be to God. They believe in a God, praise be to God. He's the creator, the oneness of God. So all the things that are in common, we say praise be to God. But then there is a point where the rubber hits the road and there's a separation. Did he die on the cross? It's a yes or no answer. It can't be maybe. He died. And why did he die? So, and why? Because he claimed to be God. We have to test that claim. Is he really God, or is he a liar or a lunatic? And that's where I love the C.S. Lewis thing. And then you can go somewhere with it. So any differences within Islam, we need to meet that challenge, but respectfully, and separating the ideology from the person. And I think you can go a long way that way.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks so much for watching.
Okay, is there a convert? Okay, I see. Wait, what Muslims say to convert? I can see a couple of videos from these guys about Islam. So there's a video called "What Muslims Say to Convert Christians." Does that sound like something you guys would want to watch? Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, same. How Muslims try to convert Christians with Charbel. What Muslims say to convert Christians. These look exactly this. It looks like it's the same video, just titled differently. Strange. Okay, here, I guess we can try this one.
These old notes made me
Okay, here we go. Again, I've never seen this video. I'd have to check. We're gonna have to watch. We're gonna watch this. So you guys are seeing this new, just as new as I am.
It was the final year of school where they invited a guest, a Sheikh Ahmed. So we say Sheikh Ahmed. So it means like a leader, a teacher. Okay. And so he was the imam, a Muslim imam, and he spoke. This is a public school, not a Muslim school, but we had time of class. We were able to sit down and listen to this religious figure dressed in a white gown, had a hat on his head and a long beard. And I was amazed looking around the auditorium and saying, oh, man, all these troublemakers, all these criminals are sitting respecting this religious man.
Why do you think that was?
They took their faith seriously.
Okay.
Okay, what would I say? They were absolute fans of their faith. They took their identity as Muslim seriously. When a religious man, they will sit up and take note and respect him. Now, we never respected any teacher, let alone a religious figure. So I was sort of impacted by that. I said, wow, what does this guy have that the teachers don't have? And that planted a little seed in my mind. And then I was invited to the mosque, and that's where he went to the next level. And that guy, Sheikh Ahmed, he started questioning me. We sat down. It was interesting. It was a room in the Grand Mosque of Australia, in Lakemba. Some joke it's Lebkemba, but Lakemba. And there was a room up in the back. I was invited to go in, and I saw these men sitting on the floor and with butcher's paper rolled out on the floor, and they're all sharing each other's plates and they're eating. And this was during Lent of my final school year. And funny enough, I don't know why, I asked my mum that year, Muslims have Ramadan, what do Christians have? And she said Lent. And what do Christians do? You give up meat on Friday. Okay. And that year, funny enough, I gave up meat on Friday. This was a Friday. For no other reason than that's what Christians do. I was inspired by the Muslims doing it. I did it. And so I was invited to have some salad. I did. And then some meat, and I didn't. I said, oh, no, I'm fasting. But you just ate salad. Oh, no, I'm fasting from meat. But that's not fasting. I said, what do you mean? Well, you're eating. Yeah, that's right. Well, in Islam, we fast from sunrise to sunset. That's so water. Cool. And I said, and you're eating. Clearly, you're eating. He said, that's not fasting. And then right away, he compared the two. He said, which is better, the Muslim fast or the Christian fast?
Yeah.
Fair
Muslim
enough.
fast.
Absolutely, that's harder. And then back of my mind, 1-0 to you.
You look at Islam just superficially, prima facie, it just looks like a far more masculine religion.
Yeah,
it looks like here are men,
absolutely.
Here are men and women who take their faith seriously. And of course, I guess it depends on.
I was confused what he meant by masculine religion. Like masculine, like it's only for men, or what do you mean by that? Or it's more for men? And I think what he means by that is that it looks more like hardcore. I mean, I don't agree with that, but I mean, it looks more hardcore. I mean, we do have, I would say we do practicing Muslims tend to follow more laws, religious laws, rulings in their lives as compared to many, practicing Christians. Maybe that's an observation I've kind of had before. I've kind of observed before, but anyway, let's continue.
On what Muslims you're looking at, but I remember my wife and I were in New York City making our way back to the airport, and we saw some of the airport workers all doing their prayers together. You're like, there's just something masculine about that. It's very attractive.
That's right. They're courageous. They're not afraid to practice their faith in public. Yeah. Sometimes on the side of the highway, you'll see the rug go out and they're facing Mecca,
awesome.
and they're praying and they're witnessing to their faith. And that's what inspired me.
Meanwhile, we can't find time to do our prayers, or we give up meat sometimes on Fridays, and if we can, and we have this sort of like
side of the cross. Don't let anyone see.
And we have this big dispensation culture, right, in the church. Where it's like, well, it's okay. Like, well, I mean, technically, it's all these technically, so we can do the bare minimum. Unlike people like Derek, he's Orthodox here in the studio today. What's up, Derek? Hey. Derek's Orthodox, so Derek's hardcore.
And you know how to do the Trinity, right?
That's right.
I love the Orthodox side of the cross.
They're cool. I love them. But yeah, I mean, they fast like men, and we have so much to learn from them. Sorry, but continue.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So that's cool. Okay, so you were kind of inspired by these friends of yours to be like, all right, Mum, what do we do? We fast. And then this fella's like, that's not fasting.
That's right. So that was the first challenge. Right away, I was challenged. Christianity is a weaker faith right away.
Yeah.
We finished lunch. We sat down in the corner of this room, and then he said, okay, now my nickname, Charbel is my name, but I grew up as Charlie, and it's a common thing, a lot of Charbels, because in it's an Arabic or Syriac name specifically. And you say it like this, Sharbil, very hard. It's a tongue twister. And so in kindergarten, the teacher, my parents said, "Oh, Sharbil is his name." And I went, "Sorry, what's that? Can I just call him Charlie?" And so then Charlie was my name.
I don't think he meant masculine like it's only something men do. I think he meant he's he's using the word masculine to mean like hardcore, right? Like, oh, you guys fast, like that's very masculine. I don't think he means like it's something for men. I think he means like it's something more hardcore, more commitment. I think that's what he means. I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think he means like it's not a gender thing. I don't think that's what he was intending by that. But one thing that's interesting though, he says, he's saying himself, watching Muslims be very devoted to their faith, that's something that inspired me. And I think, to be quite honest, I think that is something that inspires a lot of people. That when you see, whoa, look, these airport workers in the middle of their day stopping and pulling out their rugs and performing their prayers. Oh, look, these Muslims, going about their normal days, hard work, and while they're fasting. These are things. I think these things do inspire. These things do open a lot of eyes. I mean, of course, I think he's about to add a little like caveat, or not caveat, but a little not refutation, but he's about to add something to it right now. So let's see what it is.
To the point where my first tax file number and my job, I was Charlie, and my license had my birth certificate name, Charbel, but all my taxes and stuff and all those forms were Charlie. Okay. So I actually literally would tell people, my name is Charlie, and that's what they knew me as. So anyway, this Muslim imam said, "Charlie, how do you Christians pray?" That's how he said it. And I started reciting the Our Father. But halfway through, he stopped and he said, "So you're calling God Father?" I said, "Yes." "Don't you have an earthly father?" I said, "Yes." So he said, "Why are you calling God Father then?" "Because he's our Father." "Well, you can't have it both ways." "What do you mean?" "Well, you're putting on God human attributes. That's an insult to God. You shouldn't do that." Fair enough. 2-0 to Islam. So in the back of my mind, Christianity 0, Islam 2.
And of course, I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, calling God Father is is bad enough. Calling, I mean, in the English language, at least, and in our language today, I mean, in the Jewish language, it was understood in their language that never got confused with some, human attribute, in the in the Hebrew language, that was never confused to mean something different. But when we speak English, or in modern times today, when we speak, we call God Father or Mother or something like that. That's going to confuse people nowadays, and that's why, nowadays, when you talk to, for example, if you spoke to a Greek person, you say Father or Son of God, they'll think like Hercules and Zeus, right? But if you ask a Jew, they won't understand it that way. They'll understand, God the Father, not in a human way. But more than that, I would say even worse than that is the fact that they call a man walking on earth God, right? So I think that in and of itself is like the big like. Like even this is like it's obviously not good, but at least it's like it's I would say it's nowhere near as well. I mean, okay, it's definitely something that catches my eye more is actually calling a human being walking on earth, or a bird, or a fish, or a cow, or a tree, or anything, calling anything physically on earth God. That in and of itself, I think, is the big nail in the coffin, I would say.
I love my scoreboards. Yeah. Then he said, "Who taught you that prayer?" Here we go again. "Oh, it's Jesus." "And who is Jesus?" "Oh, he's the Son of God." "Oh, so God has a son now. How can God have a son?" "I don't know." It's got a son.
By being.
Same idea, Jewish language, Son of God wasn't confusing, but for pretty much everyone else, that's something that can get confused. So yeah.
The Father, I told you.
Yeah. I wish I had that answer. I didn't even have that. And he says, "No, God can't have a son."
Wait, hold on. What did he say right now? He said he gave an answer. What was the answer? Hold on.
I don't know. It's got a son.
By being a father, I told you.
Yeah. I wish I had that answer. I didn't even have that.
By being a father. So he's the father by being a father. Don't know if I understand that. he's a father by being a father. That's kind of like you're just repeating the question. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
And he says, no, God can't have a son. Okay, 3-0, you know. And then he said, but hold on, isn't Jesus supposed to be God in Christianity? He said, yes. So God is talking to himself. Yeah, that doesn't make sense, does it? 4-0 to Islam.
So far, so good. Yeah. Calling God a father or a son or a sister or a brother or a cousin or an auntie, that don't make sense. Calling God a man walking, well, okay, they didn't say this, I'm saying it. God walking on earth doesn't make any sense. You know, calling Jesus the Son of God and also God, that doesn't make sense either. Good. So far, we're doing good.
And then he said, but don't you Christians believe in a Holy Spirit? Yeah. And don't you believe that's God as well? I said, yeah. So you believe in 3 gods? No, it's 1 God. No, it's 3. No, it's 1. 3. Explain it. And all I could do was the sign of the cross. And I couldn't go any deeper than that. That's all I could go. It's terrible. 5-0. And then he says, look, he went on and on. There's so many different arguments, like the crucifixion,
Before the crucifixion, just about the Trinity, I've had this discussion on another platform before. Which is natural? Is Tawheed? I'm talking the fundamentals. Are the fundamentals of Tawheed natural, or excuse me, are the fundamentals of Tawheed naturally accepted? Can they be naturally, logically, and rationally concluded from natural disposition without foreign intervention? And I've, so far, from all the Christians I've spoken with, a handful I've asked this question to, all of them have said, no, there's absolutely no way you would, from natural disposition, from observing the universe around you, from using your God-given intelligence, come to a conclusion that God is 3 persons or 2 persons or 8 persons or any number of persons for that matter, right? It doesn't happen. It's impossible. Now, the only way, and then I asked the same question about Islam, and some of them have indirectly agreed, and some of them have just like flat out had no comment on it. Are the fundamentals of Tawheed natural? Like, are they naturally accepted, right? That God is simply one, period, right? He has no other partners. There's nothing like unto him. There's nothing on the earth that is like him. He is unique. I mean, that's it. That pretty much is the fundamentals of Tawheed, right? Basically, Surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ, right? So, I mean, a rough translation. Don't quote me on it. Say he, Allah, is one, Allah the Eternal. He neither begets nor is he begotten, nor is there anything like unto him. I mean, the fact that God doesn't have a family, he doesn't have kids, he doesn't have partners or anything like that. The fact that God is eternal, he's self-sufficient, he doesn't depend on anything, he's nothing like other creation. These kind of things, you don't even have to use the word God, just some necessary existence, something out there, something beyond this world that has to be different, has to be powerful, has to be independent, right? These are things that one can naturally come to without any foreign intervention. Some people I've spoken with, Christians I'm talking about, have indirectly agreed, not directly, yeah, you're right, but indirectly agreed. But however, this is more interesting. I've had some Christians go, I mean, not really. It's not really natural, because there are people in the past who believed in many gods. There are people in the past who believed X, Y, and Z. Now, I'm not claiming that it's impossible for people to come to false beliefs. Obviously, that's not true. People come to false beliefs all the time. People can be mistaken. People can be ignorant. People, all sorts of things, right? But it is possible. It is actually possible for somebody to conclude the fundamentals of Tawheed without any foreign intervention. You don't need a book or a teacher or anything of that or anything like that to come to that conclusion. There's no chance in hell that you'll ever be able to arrive at the conclusion that God is a Trinity, just from natural disposition. And they've agreed that, and that's not controversial. That shouldn't be, right? But the fact that God Almighty is one, has no partners, has no family, that he is unique, these are things one can claim, conclude, and justify logically and rationally without foreign intervention. So, okay, let's say, for example, there's a guy down there, he's a pagan. He believes in the Greek gods. Oh, God has a family. God has a son, a wife, this, that, the other. We can I don't need a teacher or a book or a foreign source to tell me why that's illogical, why that's not true. We can demonstrate that by default, the universe has to only have absolutely one all-powerful, almighty creator. You can use an example. For example, if you have a car, can a car have two steering wheels that are in complete control of the car? And let's say one steering wheel wants to go left and the other wants to go right. Is that going to work? No, it's not. Either the car is not going to go anywhere, or and if the car doesn't go anywhere, that means both of their wills were canceled out. Neither of them are God, or neither of them. Don't forget the word God. Neither of them are the all-powerful, necessary being. And if one of them is ends up happening, so two wheels, one turns left, one turns right, right? Okay. If let's say the car turns to the right, that means the will of the right steering wheel overrid the will of the other steering wheel, which means this one by default is in more authority. This one by default has more power. Okay, that makes that one God, or that makes that one the ultimate authority. So one can logically and rationally conclude and argue and defend the belief, the fundamentals of Tawheed from natural disposition. It is absolutely impossible to do that with the Trinity or with any other real concept of God, to be quite honest. Paganism, that's not something you can justify logically and rationally. One maybe out of emotion might come to pagan beliefs. For example, they might believe, let's say someone in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, grew up by the Nile River, and he felt so grateful to the Nile River. He felt that, there must be a God of the Nile River. Okay, that's emotional. He maybe eats off of the date trees. That maybe he feels like there must be a God of the trees. Okay, that's still emotional. But can that be logically and rationally justified? No, it can't. We can easily refute that logically and rationally without the Quran or the Hadith or anything like that. Anything, right? Just with our God-given intelligence. So, it's definitely something that I think is definitely a sign for Islam. This not just the simplicity, but the rationale and not just the simplicity of the arguments, but how simple it is for someone to accept. How simple it is for someone to accept logically and rationally. It's not something that, so Islam appeals to the heart and the mind. And oh man, nobody's calling me. Give me a second, guys. So, guys, just give me 1 second. I'm on the phone here, as you guys can see. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. I think I made that point very clear. Impossible to conclude that with to conclude the Trinity with natural disposition. It's only natural to conclude Tawheed, the fundamentals of Tawheed, with natural disposition. It's only natural. By the way, here, let me give me a second. Let me put this link in the live chat. StreamYard link if you guys want to come on and react and do this reaction with me. And we might react to this and maybe one other video, maybe, no promises, but we might react to another video after this. But if you guys want to go ahead and join the stream, there's the link right there. You guys can feel free to, here, let me actually pin the link here. Here, let me pin it. There we go. Go ahead and pin the link. And I just pinned it. There we go. Now let's continue. Sorry about that. I was clicking on the wrong tab. Here we go.
You believe that Jesus died on the cross. He didn't die on the cross because if he did die, and if you believe it's God, well, then that would be the end. In Islam, he's a prophet, but we don't say he died. He was replaced, substitution. So Judas Iscariot replaces Jesus on the cross. I said, interesting. Out of all characters, Judas, but
so that's not necessarily. Oh, no problem, Psychor. May Allah bless you, man. Go get some sleep. May Allah bless you. What do you call it? No, it's quite interesting. That's not necessarily a Muslim belief that Jesus was substituted, or that it was particularly Judas who substituted the crucifixion. That's not necessarily a claim made by Islam. That is something that some Muslim exegetes believe, but that's not necessarily a Muslim does not have to believe that. That's not a necessary Muslim belief to believe that Jesus was substituted by somebody else. Like I said, that's a common exegetical conclusion some people come to, and it makes sense, but that's not necessarily the Islamic position. Let's continue.
So Jesus was on the cross, but he didn't die on the cross. And I didn't. The penny didn't drop till later on, but I said, okay, 6-0. Like they got to about 10 points to nil, and I was like, I was in this corner thinking I've got nothing. And he noticed like, are you going to ask me anything? And I had nothing. And he said, I want to invite you to close your eyes and say in Arabic, there is only one God and his prophet Muhammad, in Arabic. And I did it 3 times in front of witnesses. And I opened my eyes, and he said, welcome, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up, Psycho?
I was just going to say, a lot of the points being made, I'm not sure how accurate this story is, because this seems a bit rushed, the way it's going.
I mean, I'm not here to like call anyone a liar, or like, I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I'm not.
No. I'm not saying it's not possible or not impossible, but apparently he was a kid. He was asked these questions, and then he was asked to give the shahada without actually understanding it. It seems a bit strange.
Yeah, that seems a little bit shady. I mean, even let's say it's true. I mean, you can't really tell someone take the shahada. You haven't explained a single thing about us. I mean, not really. You haven't explained Tawheed. You haven't asked him. You haven't explained the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You haven't explained the Quran. You just went through a handful of differences between Muslims. Okay, you believe he was crucified? Well, he was just a prophet to us. Okay, that doesn't by default, like we wouldn't say, okay, Jesus is a prophet in Islam, except Islam. It's like, okay, well, that's not it. That's not Islam right there. That's a part of Islam, but that's not enough to take your shahada, right? The shahada is ashhadu la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abdullahi wa rasuluh. You need to believe that there's no.
You just have to say it once. You don't have to. You don't have to say it 3 times. So I'm
that's
not
another
sure.
thing too. Like, why 3 times? Why did he make him say it 3 times? And that's never something.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that in my life before.
The only thing that I generally like from what I've seen is people usually take it in Arabic, and because they don't understand Arabic, they'll also take it again in their own language, so they understand what they are actually.
I mean, yeah, but why 3 times?
Declaring their 50.
That's maybe twice. Why 3 times?
Yes, yeah, this is what I don't get, and that's the other thing. For example, what was it? The crucifixion, the substitution theory is actually from a Christian origin rather than a Islamic origin. The people who actually, the people who pushed this forward is because they pushed it forward from coming across Christian theories of substitution theory, and it wasn't always considered to be Judas. It just said, from what I've read, some of them is like one of the people who wanted to crucify Jesus went ahead of the others and was apparently replaced in his image, and was the one who was caught and crucified in his stead. And there's some others. What's that? Is it Simon?
Simon of Cyrene. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people think it was him who was the one who was substituted because he was the one who was given the cross to bear. And in the passage when it does talk about him, it keeps saying he doesn't change back to Jesus until it gets to the person on the cross. It always talking about he is being the one who's carrying the cross. He's the one who's getting put up and all that stuff. He's the one who's being dragged along. Blah blah blah. So I find this a bit sketchy. What Muslims say to convert Christians.
I
This
mean,
is kind of
I mean, it's possible he's just oversimplifying things. I don't know. I mean, I agree. It does sound a bit weird. Oh, okay. They jumped from he's a prophet of God, a messenger. Okay, so basically, what have they gone through? Let's go through the list.
so the first thing first was the fasting.
Well, yeah, fasting, Son of God, no, Father, then Son of God.
Father,
Then
Son.
Jesus is not God. Take your shahada.
Yeah.
That seems like a radical, like fast forwarding. Either he's missing
It
something.
went like fasting, calling Son God Father, Jesus being the Son, Holy Spirit.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Sorry, not before the Holy Spirit. It was like, isn't Jesus God? Isn't the Holy Spirit God? Don't you have three gods? And then like he went through all that, all 2 steps. He didn't actually explain anything about Islam. More, he
Yeah.
was explaining about
What's
the flaws
Islam's
in
concept of
Christianity.
God? Well, and the only thing he kind of explained was Islam's concept of Jesus. That's not enough to take your
Yeah.
shahada. He didn't talk about Islam's concept of God. He didn't talk about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To profess faith in the Prophet Muhammad, you got to know a thing or two about the Prophet Muhammad. It doesn't sound
Yeah.
like he told him anything. So, I mean, and on top of that, why did he make you say it 3 times with your eyes closed? That's I mean,
Yeah, you don't have to close your eyes either. I find that strange as well. The reason I'm finding this strange is generally these are arguments against Christianity, but they are not arguments for
right.
Islam
Yeah.
in a sense. So even
I
if
mean,
you
to
know,
be fair, we're not David Wood followers. We don't believe that attacking the other religion proves our religion. It doesn't. If
yeah,
Christianity could be the most false thing in the world, that doesn't make Islam any more true. It doesn't. You know,
this is what was surprising because pretty much you can anyone can deconstruct Christianity if they really look into it. It
Yeah.
is a lot of Christians don't seem to understand that early Christians had very different views to what they currently hold. So the first few Christians would be completely different and would be considered heretics by the modern standard of Christianity or different sects of Christianity that they have. And they call each other heretics as well. I mean, certain Christian groups don't even consider Catholics Christians, even
Yeah.
though the religion is basically based off what the Catholics have. They wouldn't have what they have now without the Catholic Church, basically.
Right.
Go ahead, brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Buyir. How you doing?
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Yeah, just
Let us continue.
go ahead and continue. I was gonna say, one little thing to add in. They, to a more greater or lesser extent, they don't consider each other true Christians.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, at the very least, they'll say that they're deviant in some way. I mean, maybe they won't throw them under the bus completely and say they're false, like that they're disbelievers, but they definitely will say. Like I've heard Catholics before say. I mean, this isn't representative. I'm just saying. I personally, from my experience, have heard Catholics say they're not exactly on the right path. They're somewhat deviant. I mean, I think that's modest, but yeah.
Fair enough. How do I say this? With Orthodox Christians, if you're not part of the church, then you're not a real Christian.
Interesting.
That includes Catholics. That includes Protestants. But I've noticed a lot of these extreme Christians, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about that. Or, we can talk about how the Roman Catholics were towards the Coptic Church.
Oh. Yeah, that's definitely
which led to their persecution in the first place.
100%. Yeah, I actually saw Coptic churches in Jericho, actually in Palestine, when I visited.
No, that would make sense because you've got, those churches would have been the mainstream, would have been the mainstay for for that area. whether it be
Yeah.
the Orthodox.
Yeah.
From what I hear, though, I've heard that in Palestine, Urdun, places like this, is that the Copts and the Orthodox, they get along fairly well.
Maybe.
Allahu A'lam.
That's a good. I'd have to look into that. But yeah, that's. Although I do know the Copts tend to be a bit more not militant, but a bit more like we need to preserve ourselves. Kind of like like you won't find really. I mean, it's not very common for Christians and Muslims to intermarry, but I mean, you won't really hear about a Copt marrying a Muslim. It's very. I mean, maybe Orthodox, maybe Catholics and Protestants, like that's more common amongst them. But Copts, yeah, there's a snowball's chance in hell of that happening. But anyway, let's continue the video.
Can you guys still hear me or no?
No, I can hear you. But sorry,
Okay, all right.
I'm
Awesome.
just gonna continue the video.
I said, "You're a Muslim, all right?" I just said the Shahada prayer, and he gave me a towel, a white gown, and I went to have a shower.
Wow,
and
that's way easier than RCIA.
Yeah, that's right. Just boom, you just witness. That's like the
Wait,
baptism,
hold on.
basically, initiation.
Pause.
Pause.
A towel and a white gown?
Yeah. It's. I mean, if you were here a few minutes ago, the guy literally just said. So basically, the imam didn't tell him anything about it, like pretty much nothing about Islam, not about Allah, not about the Prophet, not about the Quran, nothing. The guy literally, basically, he was just explaining his Christian belief to the sheikh. Let's see, Son of God. Basically, the sheikh explained to him, Son of God, that doesn't make sense. God the Father, that doesn't make sense. Holy Spirit, that doesn't make sense. What else? Jesus died on the cross, that doesn't make sense. In Islam, he's a prophet. Take your shahada. And then this guy, according to what he said he told the shahada 3 times. He said he closed his eyes and he recited the shahada 3 times in front of the crowd. Now, I mean, that sounds now on top of that, we're finding out he got a gown, he got a white cap, it's just, I mean, am I the only one who's like kind of scratching their head a little bit at this story? I mean, look. It wouldn't matter if the story was completely truthful.
Unless this individual was from some sort of weird hole in the wall.
He said this was in Australia.
Then, the more this guy talks, the more suspicious and the more distrusting I am of this guy.
I mean,
anyway,
yeah.
Fuddle.
I mean,
went and had the shower, but really,
sorry.
What's up?
Maybe getting a towel. I don't know. Some mosque, if it's a big mosque, some of them do have places where people can go shower. And when they do shahada, it gives them places.
That's not even the suspicious part, to be honest. The suspicious part is like the giant leap, quite literally the giant leap of faith that happened between, Jesus is a prophet of God, and then didn't have to explain anything else. Take your shahada.
Yeah.
Nothing about
that's
the Quran.
That's the thing, because
almost nothing about Allah, nothing about the Prophet, nothing about the Quran, nothing, literally nothing. Jesus is a prophet of God, and you believe he's God and he died. That doesn't make sense. Cool. He's a prophet of God in Islam. Take your shahada, okay. And then he said it 3 times with his eyes closed.
The declaration of faith is, we believe that there is only one. There's no God but the one true God, which is Allah.
Times? I've never heard of someone saying it 3 times or 5 times or 10 times.
There is no, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the prophet and last prophet and messenger of Allah. He did say he was Syrian, I believe, at one point in the video.
I don't think he said he was Syrian. He said something.
Or his name is.
He said something
Syriac or something like
Syriac. Yeah.
Syriac. All right. It's just that I find his story quite hard to believe.
Let's not waste our time thinking about
here's some more. Yeah.
I don't think we should waste our time thinking whether the story's true or not. It's just let's just continue. But it's a good point, though. I have my suspicions as well.
Weird. I was nervous. Have I just become a Muslim? Okay, I'm not a religious person, but now here I am. I'm going to leave Christianity. What's mum going to say?
What I mean, surely she knew about your Muslim friends. And
Oh
your
yeah, because I used to ask questions, and she'll give me some answers, but I never remembered them, and it didn't make 100% sense to me.
So was she concerned that you were gravitating towards Islam, or was she grateful that you may have been going on a better track from someone who was like, not really following your Christian faith?
I wonder if she did. She may have been concerned. Yeah, she did warn me a few times. Be careful, don't go too far. But she did notice I was asking questions, but I wasn't 100% convinced at the time. But then the final year, I did fast from meat in Lent. So, but none of us brothers. I'm one of 6 boys, and we all had the same upbringing, but none of us were going to church at the time. None of us. We just completely drifted. But I have to say, in that shower, I was moved to pray, and I didn't know how to pray except for the Our Father and the Hail Mary. And so I.
Okay, yeah. So this is interesting. So he supposedly. So I can't tell if he's claiming he was convinced, because I mean, look, if you're obviously praying the Christian prayer 30 seconds after you take the shahada 3 times, not just once, 3 times, then, clearly you either weren't convinced, you were just going with the motion, or something's off here, guys. I mean, he gets almost no information. He gets almost sorry. There's a I'm hearing my voice. If you could give me your phone.
No, you're fine. You're fine now.
Okay, fine.
I can hear your voice. I muted myself. So it wasn't me.
Do you guys hear an echo?
No, I don't. No,
I do.
Yeah, I think it's you, Psychor. Either it's whatever. It doesn't matter. Someone just muted themselves. It's fine. But okay, basically this is how the story goes. He finds out some wrong things about his religion. Cool. Almost nothing about Islam. Says the Shahada 3 times. Goes to take a shower right away, right then and there, and then in the shower he prays to the Christian. He prays the Christian prayer.
This Sharb al-Ra'ish, or whatever his name is, al-Raish, Charbel Raish, I don't know. That's more like charlatan. Charlatan Raish. I'm just gonna call him that. Charlatan al-Ra'ish. But anyway, is that the more I'm listening to these outlandish and wildly absurd stories, the more I'm starting to think that this guy isn't who he says isn't who he says he is. Like, at all.
I mean, it's almost like so what? I mean, if he's lying, a level. Yeah. Anyway, I get my voice.
All right.
I think you have. Do you have YouTube open on your laptop?
And say it. Come again.
Do you have YouTube open on another device? Okay, never mind.
I'm going through the link.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
Oh, and I'm eating a donut.
There you go. Now. I had a burrito. Anyway, continue.
Said it in the shower while I'm washing myself. And
will you mute yourself? Because I can hear the video through your mic as well. Thank you.
Got it.
And I'm still going. I know 1 Hail Mary. I did another Hail Mary. I did 10 Hail Marys. I did a decade of the Rosary without realizing, just coincidence. And I finished the shower. I put this white gown on, and as I'm finishing the 10th Hail Mary, I just about to say Amen, and I hear a little whisper, not through my ears, just an inner voice. Not yet. Who was that? I took it off, put my normal clothes back on. Was that Our Lady? I don't know. I was addressing Our Lady at the time. I possibly. But I came out to the main area, and the Muslim man said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Look, I don't know my faith. It's not fair that I leave something I don't know. Let me investigate, and I'll get back to you. I just want the truth." And he says, "Fair enough." I said, "Pray for me. I just want the truth." He goes, "All right." But I was moved to ask one question. Finally, here comes the question. He says, "Okay, anything. I said, in Islam, a man can marry 4 wives. How is that right in God's eyes? How can you do that? And he says, good question. First of all, not every man can marry 4 wives. Well, then who can?
Me.
Well, the Prophet Muhammad could do 11, have 11 wives. But he said only those who can treat them equally. I said, what do you mean? Well, this was the example he gave me. If you buy one a house, you buy all 4 a house. If you buy one a car, you buy all 4 a car. Whew, okay, that's it. And he said, yes. It's got to be more to it. And then I said, you can't love them equally. That's it. You're going to have a favorite. You can't. And he says, well, does your mother love all her children equally?
The thing is, right?
Yeah, this is very strange.
I mean, this is the closest so far of the points that he's brought up that I've seen where it's actually. This is the closest thing to truth that I've heard from him so far. Even though he's getting a lot of things wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. This took a very strange
I mean, the thing is, right? There's no Bible verse in the New Testament or the Old Testament that actually condemns, that says that polygamy is wrong anyway. So, this guy isn't really, he's not really making a lot of sense anyway. The closest that they can do is talk about what the definition of marital of what a marital union is. I forget the name of the verse that they use.
This has nothing to do with doctrines of Islam. I mean, it's an understandable question, but yeah, it's an understandable question. Why I would expect maybe some Christians or even atheists to ask, but it's just like it doesn't like you just be like. I'm sorry. I'm just a bit overwhelmed with a slightly confusion. It's like he knows nothing about Islam. He says the Shahada 3 times, and then he starts praying like a Christian, and then he comes back and goes, "By the way, why can you have 4 wives?" It's like, I mean, it's like we're going from here to here to here to here to. It's like going all over the place.
It's very suspicious to say the least.
Anyway,
yeah.
What I was going to add was that I mean, the Imam he was talking to could have easily said, in the Bibles, don't several of the prophets have multiple wives? Okay, and he could have given other examples as well that is quite popular in the sense that, if a man marries multiple wives, okay, they, firstly he can impregnate several of them, and there will be no question of who the father is. But the other way around, okay, because if a woman gives birth to a child, other than through surrogacy, most women and for most human history, if a woman gives birth to a child, no one's going to say that child is not hers. But there's always question who the father might be. So a man being married to multiple wives, most likely, okay, I'm not going to say it in all cases, but you could be pretty sure. I can't hear you, Ramsey, but you can be pretty sure that
pretty much all cases. I mean,
yeah. I'm just giving that caveat that that does happen sometimes, but basically, the father is going to be one person in this case. But if a woman has multiple husbands, they can, once she's pregnant, they're all going to have to wait a couple of months until the baby is born before they can be intimate with her again. The other thing is, in that situation, if you look at, I'll give you an example from my own experience. It is quite common, especially with wealthy Chinese men in China, mainland, that when the wife is pregnant, they may take on a mistress. Now, in the past, they would be married to someone else, multiple wives or concubines. But modern China follows the laws.
For the record, though, for the audience, obviously we don't agree with the idea of taking on a mistress, but No.
I'm just saying this is what's happening in China. That this is a practice that is not really accepted, kind of frowned upon, but quite common amongst more of the elite in China, where they do take on a mistress or someone by the side who doesn't actually have the same legal status. Sometimes it can lead to having children with the mistress, and those children will get some perks, but not official perks. So what I'm trying to say is, if there was one woman with multiple husbands, that marriage will break down. There's no solid foundation because the men will have to have their needs met, because they're gonna have they're gonna have to share the woman. I mean, there are some cases in some very minute examples of certain. I think there's only one African tribe, and in some cases, some individuals in certain parts of the world that have managed to make a situation work, but we don't actually
There's exceptions
take
to
a long
everything.
If you're talking, I mean, like you have, for example, at least in the United States, there's a religion called Mormonism, or they also, as they refer to themselves, the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints, or at least the old variant of it, and there's still people that still practice it, where polygamy is allowed and it's practiced.
Yeah.
It's only fairly recently not become a felony.
There's even some radical options that still practice it.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll add is that from a Christian point of view, it is something that was actually imposed onto religion from the Romans when they became in charge. It's not a Jewish thing. It was practiced with the prophets. That's from my own understanding. The other thing is, if you look at modern relationships from a secular point of view or atheistic point of view, you got people who are, into open relationships now, or swingers and other things that they do, or most people, they'll go around before they actually settle down. They'll have multiple partners throughout their life until they settle down, and even then, that could end up in divorce. There is a high divorce rate for many reasons.
I mean, to be honest, it's almost like overthinking this a little bit. I mean, the point is I mean, first of all, of course, this doesn't prove or disprove anything about Islam. I mean, you can not like it.
No,
it's
just saying that
an appeal to. It's just an appeal to emotion when people argue against it. But I want to welcome Friendly Muslim to the panel. Assalamu alaikum, Friendly Muslim.
Wa alaikum salam, brothers. How are you?
Good, man. What's going
on, brother? You won't tap earlier, weren't you?
Yeah, so I think there's a bit of an echo somewhere. I'm not sure when.
It's I think it's Brother Bouyer. I think it's his mic, but it's muted right now, so it's fine.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, I was on a tap a while ago, and then I was just waiting on EA Dower, and then I saw the brother here is live, and we've been in the same rooms recently in Clubhouse also, and we've just missed.
Have we? Do you go by the same name on that?
Yeah.
You do? Okay.
You went away for a taco yesterday?
A burrito.
A burrito. There you go. Yeah.
I had a burrito yesterday and had one today.
You had one yesterday and you didn't invite?
Well, you know, you gotta do what you want. Every man for himself. Burrito night.
Burrito night? I still got some taco meat. Remember I told you I made the taco, those special tacos the other day?
I see.
Still got leftover taco meat.
Now I'm jealous.
Anyway, I made
You made what, sir?
Said I made birria tacos.
Oh, I see. Okay. Dude, damn. Interesting. I'm hungry again now all of a sudden. I'm gonna go ahead and let's continue this video. It's almost finished.
Now, I'm only 18 at the time. I didn't have any theology behind me, no theology body stuff, none of that. But I knew that was different. The love between a husband and a wife is different to the love between parents and children. I said, that's a different love. And then he said, love is love. It wasn't significant, that slogan at the time, but it's become very popular today and for many reasons. So in this case, love is love was used to justify polygamy.
This is
Wait. Hold on a second. I want to keep reading. Hold on.
And I wasn't satisfied with that answer. And I said, 1-0 to Christians. Or I took one off the Muslims. So
Yeah.
I wasn't satisfied. I thought, no, there's more to it than that. That's not good enough.
Was this conversation immediately as you were leaving and saying, pray for me?
That's right. That's right. All there. And then I thanked him for his time, and I went and my friend.
Can I just say that takes a tremendous amount of courage to do that? Because I think I think one of the reasons people join religions or other ideologies is because of community. Like we want to be a part of something bigger than us. We want people to call us brother, like he did to you.
Yes.
And so for him to welcome you like that, presumably there was other people around.
They were, yeah.
And then you've gone, you've had this shower. You could have walked out and been embraced, and you chose not to. That took courage.
I have to point it to maybe that prayer, that little whisper in my ear.
Am I the only one who's a bit confused why he mentioned the whole like that? How is that like? It's almost like that last bit of the story kind of like falls out of place. Like, okay, hold on. I mean, the whole story is kind of like it sounds like there's either giant gaps, and then at the very end, hey, by the way, you guys can have 4 wives. You know what? That doesn't make any sense. And to be honest, I didn't really hear it.
It doesn't, the idea of polygamy, right?
He said it doesn't sound fair.
I mean, the thing is, right? If we look at the biblical understanding of marriage goes about the wife submitting to her husband and all of that stuff, which I don't have an issue with that because it's within all 3 of the traditions. One could argue, how is that fair? Why can't the husband submit to the wife? So like these things, they're not really keystone arguments that would hold for Christianity, or in his case, Catholicism, being true. It just really doesn't. There's so many mistakes being made in this left and right. It's becoming ridiculous.
I'd like to add that if he's a Catholic, technically they can't get a divorce in their religion. Catholics can't divorce. I mean, one of the reasons why King Henry VIII.
We can go ahead and say that right there. Why is that not fair?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't believe that is, but I mean, it's a whole.
Literally,
they argue that anyone who has divorced their wife has committed adultery. This is why they.
Someone who divorces and remarries. Yeah, it's someone who divorces and remarries.
Yeah.
Divorce and remarriage.
They cannot divorce other than for like adultery, and once they divorce, they can't remarry because they've been divorced.
With the exception of like if the divorce was because of adultery.
No, exactly. That's where
it's it's there's some a little bit of circular reasoning in those verses, but anyway.
I think the video is done. Let's just finish it.
Just not yet. So just like give Christianity a chance. Don't give up yet. Just study it first. But I wasn't convinced about Christianity. I was convinced about Islam. It made sense to me. And
he was convinced about Islam after hearing. Sorry, 1 second. He was convinced about Islam after hearing literally almost nothing about Islam. Like literally almost nothing. He asked questions. He was questioned about the Son of God, questioned about the Holy Spirit, questioned about Jesus dying. The Sheikh told him a couple of things the Muslims believe about Jesus. We believe he's a prophet, this, that, the other. That's the only thing he tells him about Islam. And then directly after, he says his shahada, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And from that, you're convinced of Islam. I mean, look, Islam is logical, but I mean, that's a little too easy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Islam is that logical and powerful. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me here. I'm not doubting the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I mean, he literally heard, basically, he didn't hear squat about Islam. And now all of a sudden, just like that, he's so convinced Well, I'll give Christianity a chance. It's like, what's going on here, man? This is weird.
It's like I said, man. This is a Catholic wet dream here. He's preaching a Catholic. He's verbally telling a Catholic wet dream. Now, what's next? He managed to convert 50 people in a day.
Let's find out.
And I left that thinking, I'm a Muslim. I'm not a Catholic. I'm not practicing. I can't call myself a Catholic.
You're a Muslim, but you just prayed like a Catholic. But anyway.
And I got home. It was late from school, and my mother said, "Where were you?" I said casually, "Just at the local mosque." And you can imagine what? She gave this huge slap across the face.
Oh, that's nice.
Love it. Right here. And she says, "You go now to Jesus, and you ask him if he wants you to be a Muslim or Christian. He's in the Quran." I said, "Yes." So, well, if he's a prophet, well, he's going to tell you the answer, right? Yep. Go. And
I
went
love your
down.
mum already.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Two things I know about her.
His mom told him to go read the Quran.
No.
She
His
has a
mom
problem.
told him.
Yeah.
His mom told him to go ask Jesus,
Yeah, go
as
ask
Jesus is
Jesus.
a prophet in Islam,
No, but if he's
and
a
Jesus
prophet,
being a prophet would
Yeah.
answer him.
oh,
But this
okay.
is the misunderstanding of what Muslims believe Jesus is. This is basically Christians. This is like me saying,
Slapped
"Go
you?
ask
And
Prophet
that's it.
Muhammad."
Yeah. she
And she's
I
sending you
dedicated the book
Jesus.
to her because if it
Oh,
wasn't for
man.
that slap, life would have been different. Her name is Yvette. So I love you, Mum.
Yvette. To my mother, Yvette
That's right.
Raish. Is that how I say your last name?
That's right.
Thanks for laying the foundations of faith in my life and giving me that slap in the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
I needed it.
I needed it. Absolutely.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, basically, the use of violence kept him in Christianity.
I mean, well, to be
So,
fair, I mean, if
Holy
it was,
slap.
let's be honest, if it was a Muslim who was to say, yeah, you know what, my mom and dad physically beat me to stay in Islam, like that would be like the #1 Muslim converts to Christianity story in the world, right? Like Muslims' parents beat him despite his faith to keep him in faith. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that'd be like amazing content for David Wood or Hasumu Shamoon or any of these other people, right? That'd be like, you know what I'm saying? That's the stuff they hunt down for. But anyway,
Yeah,
is there a
I
part,
found.
is there a part 2 to this? I don't know if there's a part 2 to this.
To
I
be
think there
honest,
Yeah.
his story became quite absurd of what happened to him at the church. The question he asked, there's many ways to kind of answer that question of having 4 wives. Why is it not fair? And I mean, simple question is, what do you consider to be fair? If he says one wife and one husband, and you say, why do you consider that to be fair? Who put that idea in your mind that is fair? And then there's other arguments that can be made. If you look at throughout history, men have always had multiple wives. Okay, the prophets had multiple wives. So why is it that throughout history, throughout the there was multiple wives until something happened, and usually it is a Western concept that was imposed on the rest of the world to have one wife, and multiple wives being looked down on. I mean, I just find it very, very ridiculous where someone's able to go to a mosque, know nothing about Islam, okay, have their own faith constructed, have practically nothing told about Islam, and then told to take the Shahada without them actually understanding they're taking the Shahada, and then go on to take a shower, okay, without any kind of actual understanding of who the Prophet is. Because the Shahada does say the second part of the Shahada is quite important. We believe that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger and prophet of God. How can you take the Shahada without not knowing about the Prophet or the Quran? I can't really take this guy seriously.
Yeah.
I mean,
and to be fair, look, I think there is a part 2 video. I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to get to it today just because the stream's gone for a long time, and plus I do have to go somewhere. But I mean, maybe another day we can get we can get on and try to have that conversation. We can maybe respond to that video another day. But anyway, yeah, the story's definitely had its questioning moments, to say the least. But regardless,
Yeah.
I think we've done enough today. May Allah bless you guys. Do you guys want to share any closing statements before you guys leave?
I mean, I just got here, but I
well-
saw bits of it, and so I think it's a sham story. To be fair, I think it's very typical. These sort of stories that they do. So yeah, I would actually. Were you there do you remember that conversation you had with the atheist yesterday in the room in Clubhouse?
The one about the necessary being.
Yeah, when you had the
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Did you hear the other arguments that some of the brothers were?
I wasn't. Remember, I left to eat that burrito like right away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. So we kind of missed each other. All right, fine. But yeah, it's interesting, and perhaps we can revisit it another time. All right, cool. All right, well, brother, it's good speaking to you, and thank you for doing the stream on this topic.
No problem. Jazakallah khair.
Like,
what do you call it? But yeah, do you got any closing remarks?
Quite honestly, I think this guy is a charlatan.
Maybe. Yeah.
But what can you expect from Christian apologists like that nowadays?
I mean, not much else, to be quite honest. But anyway, Bouyer, it was good to see you, man. Hope inshallah we can interact more often on stream, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala. Yeah, I think there's a few other on there that we could do reactions to.
Oh, but there's a ton of content out there we can respond to. Don't worry. There's plenty of other amazing stories, amazing conversion stories. We can go through, but we'll have to leave those for now.
This guy, I think this guy is either the host is like delusional, not really delusional. Either the host is gullible, or that the guest and the host are both in on this.
Allah al-Musta'an. We'll just have to. Allah knows best, and that's all that matters. I mean, we'll find out one day. But anyway, Jazakallah khair, Bouyer. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your time. Inshallah, we'll be doing more of these, inshallah, in the future.
Yeah, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Psychor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've tried to take this story as seriously as possible. Because generally I try to take things, as people say, just to take it as face value, but it became quite ridiculous that I find it hard to believe. But even then,
if you think this half of the story was weird, just wait till you see the second half.
It's just like after watching this, it's like, do I really want to see the second half? Can I?
Well, here's the thing. From what I can see, because I got like a tiny sneak peek, like I literally skipped like 5 minutes into the video and listened for like 20 seconds. And from what I heard in those 20 seconds, I heard like somewhat of an argument. I'm like, oh no, okay. I can see what most of this. I can see the kind of video that this is going to be. Like I thought the last video was going to be like this. It was going to be riddled with arguments. Instead, it was kind of riddled with this very broken, not very well written story. I mean, if you're going to make up, I'm not saying the story's made up, but I mean, if it is, they did a really bad job, like a terrible job at making a convincing story. Again, Allahu Alam. But definitely when we get to one of these days, when we get to respond to part 2, definitely we'll be getting into that, inshallah. But anyway, Psychor, I do appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the support of all the people in the live chat. You've been commenting like crazy in live chat today. It's definitely I really appreciate. Something I really appreciate. And I remember seeing all your comments when I was in Palestine. All your comments on my live chat, on my live streams from Palestine. That's something I really do appreciate. May Allah bless you. But yeah, by the way, guys, we're currently at, I believe, 608 subscribers. I mean, alhamdulillah, that definitely, I think that is a long way. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a long way from starting from literally 0 7 months ago. I started in the beginning of January. It would be nice if we can get to 1,000 by the end of the year, inshallah. I think we can do it. I think we can, but we'll have to wait and see, inshallah. Just make dua, inshallah. But anyway, Saikor, good to catch you. Good to catch you. Inshallah, I'll catch you around. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Okay. Assalamu
alaikum. Brothers and sisters, all right, barakallah fikum, jazakallah khair for everyone for tuning in. Again, be sure if you're not subscribed to subscribe, please. It means the world to me. Be sure to look out for part 2 of that video, responding to 10 questions from David Wood and David Hammertime Wood and A+, the best closet atheist and closet Christian I've ever met before, and because that'll be coming out soon, inshallah. Can't say exactly when, but soon. And of course, be doing more streams. More content. We'll be responding to part 2, inshallah. And the brothers who are on the panel and any other brothers or sisters want to come on, always welcome. But as long as you have your notifications on, you should get notifications. I have heard from some people that they have the notifications on, but they're not getting notifications. That's most likely something on your end. Most likely, you've set. You should go. It's something in your settings. You've set which exact notifications you want to get. I think you can control which. You can be specific to which notifications from YouTube you want. Do you want, notifications of new videos? Do you want when people respond to your comments, your whatever? I think you can control which notifications you get. Be sure you have that set to all, right? So, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. May Allah bless each and every one of you guys. Catch you guys later. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.